Hey friends, little car therapy here. I heard such a great story because we're talking about assumptions. Sometimes people we're sensitive, so we have a sense that maybe somebody in our life is feeling a certain way, and that's fine. We can say, hey, maybe you're feeling this, or I wonder if you're feeling this, and put it out there. But for those of us who are feeling insecure, a mistake we make is to assume we know what the other person's thinking and feeling instead of asking them. The only way to know what somebody else thinks and feels is to really ask them, not to assume. And it also robs them and deprives them of an opportunity to be in touch with their feelings and share with us. So we don't need to assume. We don't want to assume. But we can have a sense of what somebody else thinks or feels. So that comes back to insecurity. We need validity. We need security. The different things that the child self needs. But there are reasons why people will catch themselves practicing making assumptions, but very often as a function of that harsh inner voice that we picked up as kids, that critical voice with which we were raised, and then we continue to speak to ourselves that way. That could also factor into it, and will be critical of others. So we're assuming, we're critical of others, we're judging others. We're treating other people the way we treat ourselves. So the story was basically a teacher was teaching publicly, class, giving a talk, and in the front was like a father and son, or an older man, a younger man, I don't remember, and they were in their phones the entire talk, and he's thinking to himself like, okay, I'm sure there's some reason to it. Let me judge favorably. They didn't really understand, and thought like, wow, the whole time they're lost in their phones and not paying attention at all to anything he was saying. But in the end, someone grabbed this two and brought them to introduce them to the speaker, and it turns out they're both deaf. And they were on their phones because how you have voice to text, so I can take my voice and I can put it to text. Well, they had some pretty fancy app that was taking his words and putting it into text on the screen. It was like an app designed for deaf people. And they were, not only were they not distracted or lost in the phones, they had paid attention, and they showed him the phone, and it was like the entire talk was like there in text, scrolling down the screen. Like they had been hanging on every single word that he said, the very opposite. And most times it's such. Yes, we can have sensitivity, and be tuned in, and maybe we kind of have an idea of what the other person is saying, but so often, just to not judge others and to not assume we know what other people are thinking, and instead just to ask them and to allow them to explain, what's going on for them.